WYSL.
The WYSL stations present an hour of truth for the battered but proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Well, the unending vacation of Andrew Hollister continues here. So Bob Savage again in studio with another guest host today. It's Dave Jenkins from Rochester Personal Defense.
Hey, Bob.
How you doing?
I'm here. Let's get this rolling.
Let's get it rolling. Let's talk about personal defense, and let's talk about firearm safety and training and all that other good stuff.
You know, I'm kind of a gun guy, right? Kind of do self-defense training.
Not you.
No. So yeah, what do we want to talk about today? We got a whole bunch of stuff coming.
It's your show. It's a blank slate. It's an empty canvas. It's a 1 kilohertz tone for the next hour if you don't come up with something.
Yeah, really, exactly.
We got to figure something out.
I warned Andrew about handing the show over to me, and he said, "No, I got faith in you." Well, we'll see what happens.
Have you two met, by the way?
I think I met once. He's a short guy, right?
Not that short. You haven't met him. Oh no.
Oh boy,
this is not good. Well, in any case, so let's start off with Rochester Personal Defense. Now, you've been on the station from time to time in the past, and so let's talk about what Rochester Personal Defense is up to and what products and services you provide.
There we go. That's the good lead-in. I love it. Getting me started. So, hi, everybody. This is Rochester Personal Defense. We do a lot of firearm safety training. We do first aid, personal defense, pretty much anything around being independent and basically making sure that you can take care of yourself, not have to depend on somebody else. And I know there's a lot of talk back and forth on who should take care of you, but ultimately it boils down to you.
Well, government always wants you to think that they'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Which they never do for some reason.
Yeah.
How well did they take care of Jeffrey Epstein? I don't think that worked out so well.
Boy, Bob, I'm not a big conspiracy guy, but things kind of look weird at times, and it just, what is this?
Well, today on Monday, I think everybody in America is a conspiracy theorist because in the absence of credible information, conspiracy theories flourish.
Oh, yeah.
And what plausible explanation could there be for what happened early Saturday morning?
I know. It's amazing. It's like, when you're not giving out information, what happens? Our brains just start going crazy. We start thinking, what if? What about this? What about this? It's pretty, he's connected to all these people, and all of a sudden, are they breathing easier, or are they a little more worried? So we just kind of develop our own theories.
Yeah, nature abhors a vacuum, and the body politic abhors situations of involving high-profile individuals connected to the rich and powerful, which just cannot be made sense of.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's just crazy. We got all this stuff going on with these. We got a lot. Actually, we got a lot we can talk about, but I don't know how much. We only got an hour. So we've got all this stuff that's been happening with these recent tragedies with the shootings, and I've been getting a lot of inquiries and a lot of emails and quite a bit of phone calls from people about what can I do about this.
Yeah. Now, wait a minute. That's a great question that you've just suggested. With the personal defense training and with gun training, what is the effect from response you get from the public at times of these mass shootings?
Usually it's, I'm scared. I don't want to be caught in one of these, but also it's a little bit of frustration and a lot of anger. They want to know that they can do something about it if they're caught in one of these. It's just, they're scared. And what they want to do is, what can I do initially and what can I do later? And we get talking about different things. We get talking about, do you get out of there or do you stay and fight? Well, it depends on what your capabilities are.
Well, for a threshold question, so the mass shootings occur, do you get more calls about firearms training, about acquiring a personal firearm, about getting the concealed carry permit? Is that the bulk of the calls that you get, or is it more like, I want to be able to do hand-to-hand combat. And
usually
protect
it's,
myself.
I want to get a gun, and I want to find out how to do it. And they're asking me about should I get a shotgun for home defense because, they realize that their chances of being out in public and getting in one of these is going to be pretty minimal, but it's scary. And it's shocking, and that's where the value comes out. That's where the public outrage comes out of it because it hits us at our core. Most of the people that have called me recently are asking about what can I do in a situation, and then they segue into, I think it's time I get my pistol permit. I've been sitting around, I've been waiting, I've been doing this, I haven't had really time to it, and all of a sudden now, in the wake of events like this, it becomes a priority.
Get a lot of women asking?
Right. Actually, it's interesting. In the past couple of weeks, it's been balanced. It's been both. Usually, it's more males. Every once in a while, something will happen, especially if it happens at a school. The moms call, the females call, the women are calling because now they're looking at the kid factor. But right now, in the last, couple of weeks, it's been balanced. It's been both.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But my sense is that the female shooters are an increasing segment of the gun-owning population.
It's big right now. They're averaging, depending on who you talk to and what demographic is in that area. I've got instructor buddies of mine that they're experiencing probably it's a 1-to-1 ratio now. It's 50% of their clientele are women. Right now, ours is about 35%. We're getting quite a few women coming into the female training programs, and then they discover that they can hold their own, and they're really good at it,
Yeah, they tend
and
to
they
be
want to do more.
More intimidated, and there's no reason for that, right?
Yeah. And then the thing that we're going to fight probably forever is this is a guy's sport. This is the man's world you're jumping into. And ladies, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not that way. You're going to get guys that will make you feel like you're weak, inadequate, or you can't handle a gun, or the favorite phrase. I know Bob's heard it. We've all heard it. They'll just take the gun away from you and use it against you. Well, that's not actually the case. That's just fear-mongering.
It never happens. I mean, it happens in a minuscule number of cases.
Yeah. With proper training, that doesn't happen. And that's what our job's about. We do that.
Yeah, this is one of these, by the way, this is one of these distorted statistics where the political left likes to trot things out. And one of the often cited statistics is that you're much more likely to die from your own gun in your home than to kill an intruder. So the image that this creates in your head is some bumbling homeowner, he's fumbling around trying to shoot somebody who's invaded his house in the middle of the night. The intruder gets the gun away from him and shoots the homeowner.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
doesn't happen.
No.
Because what they don't tell you when they cite that stat is that includes the suicides.
Right.
Which are 2/3 of the gun deaths in the United States.
And
right there.
What we found is if somebody's intent on harming themselves, they'll find a way. It doesn't matter the tool.
Right.
They'll
jump off a bridge or,
Yeah. It'll be a firearm, it'll be a knife, it'll be pills or drugs or, other methods, but they will find a way.
Watch too much MSNBC. That would kill almost anybody.
And if somebody is intent on harming somebody, they're going to find a way to do it. You look at the United Kingdom right now. Their crime rates are out of control. They're worse than what they were before all of the gun bans were put into place.
4 times per capita the rate in the U.S.
Yes.
You think this is a violent society? Try Britain.
That's right. It's crazy. And now they're trying to ban knives and sharp objects. And they're having scissor turn-ins and paring knife
It's ridiculous.
recoveries.
What's next? Screwdrivers?
Oh, yeah.
You can kill somebody with a screwdriver.
They're gonna have to put all the rocks in the ocean and get rid of the rocks that
Rock control.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good rock control.
But anyway, so back to home defense and defending yourself, and you're considering the acquisition of a firearm. So if somebody just wants to protect themselves in their home and they're not interested in carrying a handgun,
right,
is a shotgun a good option?
It depends on a lot of factors. Shotguns are easily portable, but they have a high sense of power. There's a lot of recoil in shotguns. It can be unmanageable for certain people or the untrained. What we've actually found is varmint-type cartridge rifles, the .223, the AR-15 style firearms, or even the Ruger Ranch rifles. They shoot a small caliber, lower power rifle cartridge, which doesn't overpenetrate like it would like a shotgun round would or a slug would, so it doesn't leave your house, doesn't hurt anybody outside the immediate area.
Doesn't go into your neighbor's house.
Doesn't go into your neighbor's house, exactly.
Walking by on the sidewalk. Yeah. We'll be back with more here on Radio Free New York. Bob Savage in studio with Dave Jenkins from Rochester Personal Defense.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whenever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
You're listening to Radio Free New York
on the WYSL stations.
We are back here on Radio Free New York. Andrew Hollister continues on vacation. Dave Jenkins is joining us here on this Monday. By the way, if you'd like to call in, 585-346-3000, 585-346-3000. And you're seeing some folks watching us on Facebook Live there.
I know. I actually have some fans. Maybe they're just trying to see what I talk about, and they're going to pick on me later.
They're just looking at your incredible, amazing resemblance to Brad Pitt.
You nailed it right there. I got it.
Check it out yourself, folks.
I got it.
Facebook Live. Anyway, before the break, we were talking about shotguns as a means of protecting your home, and you said AR-15s. Well, now we're in a different league here because that's a semi-auto, right?
That's right. There's some legal issues you have to basically comply with. But if you think
need a permit for that?
No. It depends on the configuration of the rifle. It's either going to be legal or it's not, and we don't want to. Of course, that's a far longer discussion. But the difference between a shotgun and a small varmint caliber rifle and for home defense, you don't get the overpenetration through the walls, through the leaving your neighbors, visiting your neighbor's house.
Even though it's a rifle.
Even though it's a rifle, yeah, because they're very unstable bullets. As soon as they start hitting things, they tumble and they just lose all their energy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I've had people call me with, what about double-aught buck? It's 9 pellets of 32 caliber shot. So it's 9 32 caliber projectiles going through something, whether it's a wall or somebody who's breaking into your home. And what happens is there's a lot of energy behind those. I've done ballistics tests. We've done demos where we've set up walls made of drywall with 2x4 studs in them. We've set them up in a distance for a hallway. We've also set them up for a distance for a room, and we've put targets in there, and we've shot through them. And we've shot through everything with buckshot, with a slug.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Now, you would think a slug like that would, stop almost immediately, but it goes right through drywall.
Like the drywall's not even there. It might as well be paper. They have a lot of kinetic energy, and they will penetrate a lot of stuff to get to where their destination is.
Yet you have a varmint rifle, and it doesn't penetrate like that.
That's right. And we did the same with the varmint rifle, and we actually it went through 2 layers of drywall set up as a wall. It penetrated the 3rd layer of drywall and didn't exit the 4th. So if you can imagine having to shoot from a bedroom across a hallway and your kids are in the room beyond, the bullet probably isn't going to enter that room and endanger your children.
That's again, not an academic discussion, folks, because, once that round leaves the muzzle, it's going to go where it's going to go, wherever you happen to aimed it. And there's unintended consequences. You know, somebody out in the hallway of your apartment building or whatever, somebody outside. So that's more food for thought. Now, a pistol, of course, does not have that kind of firepower in any case.
Now, one thing that people are finding is even though they can be scary and can be intimidating because they're handheld weapons, just, rifles or long guns, but a handgun round is fairly anemic when it comes to stopping power. I've done the same test with the average 9mm, the average 45, and they will penetrate a couple, 3, 4 layers of drywall. But if there's anything of resistance in there, even fiberglass insulation, it definitely slows it down significantly. So I would go with, if you're going to get something for home defense and you live in an urban area where you have neighbors that are maybe a driveway's width away, look at a smaller varmint rifle. Or if you have to get a shotgun, learn how to use it, learn how to manage the recoil on it, because it is possible with training. But also get into like a number 4 buckshot or number 8 shot. That people would call that a practice load. But the good thing is you don't endanger anybody that's outside your immediate area.
Yeah, you don't want deer slugs.
We have to be responsible when we do this, and we want to make sure we're doing it the right way.
And what's the caliber for the varmint? Like a .223?
Yeah, like a .223, somewhere around in that area. Something 2,200 feet per second kind of region. But if you look at most of your smaller, like coyote rounds and small game rounds for rifle shooting, you're going to find something around the .223 variant.
What about the old classic .22?
The .22 can be good, but it is very unpredictable as a defensive round. It'll bounce. It's got a little bit more energy than you would think, but as soon as it starts hitting something, it becomes unstable as well. So it may work, it may not.
Okay, so again, now semi-autos, you need to. There's some legalities involved, and what are those?
Right, it depends.
Background check, NICS check.
So when you get into the semi-auto category, especially in a long gun like a rifle, under the SAFE Act, it was redefined and recategorized in a way so that you can only have certain features on a gun. Most of the features that they banned made the gun scary looking, but not in operation. A lot of people will tell you that, this AR-15 is more deadlier than this other rifle. Well, the Ruger Ranch rifle, which is chambered in .223, is the exact same operation, exact same cartridge, and pretty much nearly the exact same rifle as one of those AR-15, the modern sporting rifles. It just looks different. And that's all. It looks different. So it looks like something the military would use, even though they're not even cousins anymore. The operations and the mechanics and the way the rifles are made and everything are so differentiated that the only thing is they have kind of the same silhouette. That's about it. And it's amazing.
And AR-15, again, is a semi-auto. You could have, I guess, it depends on your school of thought. You can have either 7 or 10 rounds. Supposedly, now case law in New York says that 10 rounds is the max, but that's a court decision. And some other court may, or if it push comes to shove, may or may not afford full faith and credit to that. So you may find yourself in trouble if you have 8 rounds.
Right. Well, it's been ruled in New York State's highest court that 10 rounds is legal in a magazine in New York State in any semi-automatic firearm.
But the SAFE Act still says 7.
The SAFE Act just hasn't been rewritten yet. So what's going to happen is somebody can probably still be arrested and charged, even though most of the DAs in New York State have said they're not going to worry about it.
But you get some ideological person, downstate, for example, or perhaps even in liberal Buffalo or in liberal Tompkins County, the home of Ithaca, you might find yourself the unwelcome visitor in a court of law.
Yep. The good thing is it'll all work out in the end, but it's just you're going to get put through the process for a while.
And you're going to be writing a lot of big checks to an attorney.
Yeah. You better have a good attorney, and you better have some money on hand if you're going to have to deal with this.
All right, so let me ask you this question. We have this thing called a LaserMax laser sight, and you've all seen this in the movies and TV shows where somebody gets a red or a green dot painted on them, and that stops them cold. So what would you say about, you get yourself like a little Crosman airsoft gun, and you put one of these LaserMax sights on it, and just to scare the stuffing out of somebody who's trying to get into your house at night?
So the casual, or we'll say the opportunistic home invader or burglar or trespasser might pause, or if they're just not really committed in doing anything, you might get a win out of that. But what happens if you don't? You know, I look at it this way. If you're going to if you're going to think about using a firearm for self-defense, then let's get you trained and legal to use a firearm for self-defense, not a toy. Because the toy is only going to get you so far. And the toy, remember we talked earlier about, they're just going to take the gun away from you and use it against you, right? If they realize it's a toy, or somehow it just gets found out it's a toy, you're far worse off.
These are pretty realistic looking.
I know. I have some training airsoft guns that I can put all of the real accessories that I would use on my handgun on them for training, and they will operate exactly the same. And mine, I have to repaint the orange tip to have, and the orange end of the barrel to still comply under the visibility laws, but it wears off pretty quick. And if it wears off, I can set an airsoft gun and my real handgun down, and unless you know what to look for, they look totally identical.
And you're using they shoot the same, I mean, they're
the operation's the same.
They may have those same scary features that you find on a real semi-auto. It makes the gun shootier,
Yeah.
So that's we can't have that. But I don't know. I mean, maybe as a stopgap measure, you got to remember that these scenarios unfold in people's homes at night, not at all like what happens on television. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of yelling and screaming. There's a lot of fear.
Exactly.
And it's, maybe under those circumstances, you're pulling that airsoft out and the intruder can't. There's no way for him to tell.
It might not be. They may just think you're pointing a gun at them, and they decide to make better life choices at that moment and get out of your house. And you know what? That's still a win.
And if they're armed in some way, you're no worse off, because are you going to get into a gunfight with somebody in your house?
You never know. And I don't want to. I personally don't want to find out. I've got some really close personal experience where I know somebody who had their home invaded just recently.
Really?
And they were sleeping on the couch, and these people came in the window and walked within about 5 feet of them sleeping on the couch, 3 of them. And
must have been pretty soundly asleep.
She didn't know this until we were looking at video footage from a neighbor.
She never knew they were in the house?
Until the dog started barking, who was sitting in the bedroom, sleeping with the air conditioning on because it was hot that night. And then the dog must have heard a different noise in the house, and she started barking, and it alerted both of them to wake up. And right about then is when the guys that were in the house decided it was time to bail out. Mm-hmm. But they got really rattled when they discovered just how long the house had been cased. They were outside the house for at least a half an hour, looking in windows, hanging around, looking in the car windows.
No neighbors saw this? Was this isolated house, not near any neighbors? Or
nope, right in a halfway decent neighborhood in the city.
It can happen anywhere.
Yeah, it can. And
nobody is immune.
The good thing is nobody got hurt. They only lost some stuff. And, some of it was kind of important, sentimental and kind of valuable, but nobody got hurt. And that's in the bottom line, that's the end of it. They didn't get hurt. But it was very scary. I pretty much watched the color drain from her face when they saw that you can see the shadows of them walking through the house right next to where they were sleeping. That was scary.
I got to say, sound sleepers. Anything like that would wake me up.
One of the rare nights that they were able to get some sound sleep, and some ding-dongs decided to break into their house.
Holy moly. Well, that's just about the best outcome that you could possibly hope for, where if somebody gets in, just gets some stuff, nobody gets hurt, right. There's no shooting, there's no arrests. So I got to believe that's a fairly rare scenario.
Yeah. And it was rare that they were home. Most of the time they want to come in and get in and realize, and hopefully nobody's home. So they're looking at the house. They're checking things out. They know when you're home or not. So I'm pretty confident that these are guys that were just roaming neighborhoods, and they figured, I got a feeling they didn't even know that she was sleeping on the couch at the time until they get in the house, and then they just hurried up and got out.
Got it. The voice of Dave Jenkins, Rochester Personal Defense. Our guest host here on Radio Free New York, Andrew Hollister on vacation. We'll be back.
You're listening to the voice of liberty. AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, FM 95.5 Spencerport, and WYSL1040.com everywhere.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Avon Gun and Hunting Supply, a locally owned and operated gun shop specializing in pre-owned firearms and repairs. Get your rifle, shotgun, or pistol serviced and tuned before you take it to the field. Open daily. Avon Gun, East Main Street, between the Bank of Castile and Charlotte's Web of Odds and Ends.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Radio Free New York on WYSL.
AM 1040, FM 92.1, and FM 95.5 West.
We are back in for Radio Free New York. Bob Savage along with Dave Jenkins, Rochester Personal Defense. And so we got some folks watching on Facebook Live.
Yeah, either that or stalkers. I don't know. Some of them I got to worry about.
I've got to believe you've got tons of those.
Rich Nance guy watching me. I got to watch out for that guy.
Which one?
Rich Nance. You got to watch out for him.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, he's one of my fellow ninjas. There's a big joke behind there. He'll figure it out.
Okay. A little inside humor there, folks. I have no idea. Anybody else you want to say hi to there?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Who we got on here? Oh, my kid's watching me. I better behave. Connor, get back to work, will you? But I got a bunch of guys watching this. Manny Ortiz is up here. Thanks, guys. Thanks for checking in. I got Mr. Andy Dickinson hanging out. I love it. That's awesome. So, guys, send me in some questions. Let's talk about stuff.
Or call. We can talk.
Yeah, let's get your
585-346-3000. Much easier to just talk to you on the phone. So, anyway, we're talking about home invasions, intrusions, and the appropriate firearms to try to prevent that and to deal with that. The AR-15 is a pretty user-friendly firearm.
It is.
It's not a lot of recoil.
A lot of people will see it's a high-powered military-style rifle, and it always bothers me when I see it. But I understand it's coming from people who just don't know what it is. I've had a lot of people shooting that style rifle, and they just kind of look at me and they think, "Boy, I thought this thing was going to have a lot more kick." You know, those things they're pussycats. There's nothing to them.
Yeah, it's almost like shooting a 22, right?
It is. Well, it's a 22 with a little bit of steroids on it, but it's still not as much recoil as a shotgun. I think the shotgun it takes quite a bit more training to manage the recoil on that compared to a rifle.
So, ladies, the AR-15 is your friend.
It is. It's awesome. And you can paint them any color you want, too. That's the cool thing. It doesn't have to be black.
Yeah, that's right. They are available in colors. So that's neat. They're a designer firearm. So let's talk about your training. What kind of training programs does Rochester Personal Defense offer?
Well, the biggest part of our training is mostly firearms safety training in use.
So do you do non-shooting, kind of a basic firearms safety kind of approach?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We do talks. One of our biggest classes, especially lately, has been the permit legalities course, where people just want to know about the laws and what to do, what not to do. And it's not more like, when can I shoot? It's basically, when must you shoot? That's what we're really boiled down to.
When must you shoot?
When must you shoot? I actually stole that from a friend of mine he's an attorney. We work together on things. And he said, I don't like that when can I shoot or when should I shoot. It's when must I shoot, because basically you're being forced to do this. But thankfully for the average person, that is even few and far between.
So explain what that means. You must shoot. Under what circumstances must you shoot?
Basically what's going to happen is when we get into the legalities of everything, we talk about when you would be justified in using what's known as, with a firearm, it's deadly physical force, okay, which could seriously injure or kill somebody. And the only time that's allowed is when that force is being used against you. It's not, you can't use a gun because somebody's annoying, because they're scratched your car, they're sitting on your hood, or they're just maybe making you nervous. You're only justified in pointing that gun at somebody or using that gun if you feel deep down inside, in your gut, in your heart, in your soul, that you're going to get seriously hurt or dead. And it's a big step. It's a big step to get to that point.
But that standard has to be objectively reasonable, too, though, right?
It does.
I mean, if somebody comes at you and they've got a popsicle stick, taped to their finger, and I'm going to go bang, bang, and kill you. Yeah. You can't say, well, deep down in my heart, I reasonably believed this guy was going to kill me, and I've always hated him. He's been an annoying next-door neighbor. He's always pulling stupid tricks, so I shot him dead. That's not going to fly.
No, it's not. It's got to be a real, not imagined threat, not a supposed threat. It's got to be real. It's got to be something you can articulate, and where anywhere from 14 to 21 other people can sit there and go, okay, yes, I can understand why you did this.
And circumstances play a big role as well. So, for example, at night, in your home, in your residence, you have what's called, is it the castle doctrine? Is that what we call it?
It's simplified castle doctrine, essentially. Okay. It's basically
Explain
do not.
How that works.
The level of reasonableness is wider. It's easier to achieve.
Bars
but
lower.
Also, you don't have this expectation of having to retreat from that danger. They figure that your house is your castle, your house is your last refuge, it's your security, your sanctity, and you shouldn't have to legally retreat from there, mainly because your family's probably still there too. So why should you have to leave the house and leave your family in danger? So they figure that you are allowed to make that stand in your home. We actually tell people we want you thinking better than this. If you're the only one in the home, or if you can get your family out in the face of perceived danger, it's still the responsible thing to try to do. And if you have to fight, if you're forced to fight, that's where we get to when you must defend yourself, when you must shoot, because there's no other choice left. Everything else has been removed from your option table. And that, I've interviewed quite a few people who've been in that setting. And most of them have said that when that got to that point of, I know I have to do this, it was unmistakably clear that they had to do it. There was no more ambiguity.
No question in their mind.
There was no question.
No hesitation. I'm going to do it.
I have to.
If I have to kill this guy, I will.
Yeah, I have to do it. And all of them agreed that they didn't want to. They weren't looking to do it. They weren't looking for a fight that day. It came to them, and they weren't able to use any other options. So they had to do it. And it's a life-changing event. It is a big life-changing event for people.
Again, let's talk about realities. Now, we've all seen the TV and the movies where the homeowner somehow gets hold of a firearm that she's never fired before, and she's waving this thing all over the place, and this really sinister, bad actor is coming at her, and she lets fly, and boom, he's dead instantly, right in the center of the forehead, or right in the middle of the chest. If you've not had a lot of practice shooting a handgun, and you've spent a lot of time at the range, and you've been specially trained in dealing with these stressful situations where you're firing at night at a moving target in low light, what's the likelihood you're going to hit something?
Probably very low. Well, the one thing is...
I mean, something that you want to hit?
Yeah, something you want to hit depends on what your expected accuracy is, but everybody can get lucky. You know, Bob, you and I are sitting about 4 feet from each other. It's not going to take any training for somebody to hit somebody 4 feet away. Luck and everything is going to be on their side. But you double that distance, it's going to get 4 times harder to hit because you just got a lot smaller. And if we're 20 to 25 yards away, well, you know, I did a demo. I had a class this past weekend, and we were talking about this thing about, you know, where is that distance where I really have to engage? So we went to 25 yards out. We had a man-sized target out there. It was completely cleared. And I shot 10 rounds at that target. And we walked downrange. And I just randomly aimed towards the target. We had a great backstop. And we had it set up where I just shot at the target. And we went down there, and out of 10 shots, with me not even getting a sight picture and just randomly pressing the trigger in the general direction, I got 4 hits on target, and 3 of them were in the spine column. So I don't like those odds.
Yeah, really. Yeah. We have Tom on the line from Webster. Hey, Tom, how you doing today?
Tom? Very good. How are you?
We're good. What's up?
Well, I have an alternative for you, but before I say that, I do have a pistol permit. I have several handguns, 3, I guess. I also have a very small 20-gauge pump shotgun. It's called a Snake Charmer.
I've heard
tiny.
of them.
Anyway, you know, and I agree with that double-aught because, boy, that thing, you know, my whole thing was, you know, being able to swing it around in a house in a closed area or anywhere for that matter.
Right.
But definitely that double-aught, it bounces quite a bit with the gun. I mean, you know, it's quite a bit of recoil with that. The smaller 4 or even 6 for that matter would definitely do damage up close. But I was having a conversation with a friend of mine years ago now on a job, and, you know, they just had a whole bunch of break-ins in Webster. People actually with a notebook driving around during the day, you know, suppose you're looking for a dog or something, and they any excuse to come up the driveway, case the place, make note of no alarm system, no dog, yada, yada, lawnmower, motorcycles, whatnot. And they actually had a notebook, you know, and they were breaking in during the day. So I was telling him about, you know, not necessarily a good idea to have a golf club or a baseball bat in your bedroom because it's sort of premeditated. You may or may not get in trouble, which, of course, brought up a big argument. You know, I mean, you know, the self-defense thing.
It always does.
This guy walked over from about 25 feet away, shaggy-looking guy, kind of beard and whatnot, you know, and I figured, oh, man, you know, I mean, he obviously overheard the gun pistol, or because I was trying to tell him to buy a 22 off the swap sheet or something, or, you know, just anything for protection. Anyway, the guy came over, and out of nowhere, he asked me, he says, do you own a fire extinguisher? And I said, well, yeah, I have one in each one of my trucks. I do construction work, and I got one in the basement. I got one in the garage. I actually think I got one in the kitchen. And he goes, well, if you got a fire, how are you ever going to get to it? You know, and all this time I'm thinking, what the hell has this got to do with, you know, anything to do with self-protection?
Right.
But he was saying, if you have it next to you seem like you're pretty prepared. He goes, do you have a battery, you know, them battery flashlights next to the bed? And I said, yeah, I do. It's kind of a wimpy thing. It wouldn't be for protection, but yeah, I do. And he said, well, if you put that 5-pound fire extinguisher next to your bed, if there was a fire, an appliance thing or something caught on fire, you know, you jump out of bed, boom, you got the fire extinguisher. You might be able to get out of your house, you know, get your children out, get somebody out. You certainly aren't going to get to the garage and get the one there or the basement, you know. Yeah. So I'm, you know, right away I'm thinking, geez, that's a great idea. I'm going to buy a couple for my daughters. And he goes, besides that, if you have someone invade the house, you hit them with that fire extinguisher spray-wise. They can't see, they can't breathe. You know, and if you empty it, it's got a nice little T-handle. You can basically beat them up with it.
Interesting.
You know, and I was thinking, wow. You know, for the people that just won't or will not get training, which obviously you need,
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about, Tom, appreciate the call. We're going to talk about alternative means of self-defense, too. We're going to go to a break right now.
We get into that a lot, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sure you get a lot of inquiries about, well, what about pepper spray? And what about and now I guess we can talk about, what about fire extinguishers?
Yeah, maybe.
I have heard the fire extinguisher rubric before.
It's one of the things that I think of. I call it a dual-purpose weapon, and he's got the point. If I'm in a commercial area and I see a fire extinguisher, I have a little kind of sense of comfort that if somebody does come in there and they're hurting people, I'm either going to hose them down with it and then probably clang them in the head with it.
Yeah, it'll stop them maybe briefly for a few seconds. We'll be back with Dave Jenkins from Rochester Personal Defense here on Radio Free New York.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Fiorella, a family-owned farm-to-table Italian restaurant with casual atmosphere at the newly renovated Rochester Public Market. Fiorella offers wood-fired, old-world-style pizza with naturally leavened dough, house-made fresh pasta, desserts, and gelato. Enjoy craft beers, imported Italian and New York State wines. Open Wednesday through Saturday for lunch and dinner. Wednesday evenings enjoy no corkage fee. And Thursday is gnocchi night. Call 434-5705 for reservations. View the menu on the web. restaurantfiorella.com.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York
on the WYSL stations.
Andrew Hollister is away once again. We're not sure where he is, in Bahamas or Czech Republic or someplace where there's no internet, so we can't get him on via our high-tech remote setup. So we have Dave Jenkins, guest host in the studio from Rochester Personal Defense. By the way, our phone number, 585-346-3000. It's 585-346-3000. Love to hear from you. And before the break, we were talking about alternatives in terms of alternatives to firearms, that is.
That usually comes up when we get into like combatives classes or people into firearms classes. They're always asking, what do I do if I don't have my gun with me? Because there are times where you won't. Whether it's employment or place of possession and whatever. So we talk about, okay, look at your environment. And as we said when we exited, I look for fire extinguishers. You get those big giant ones or you get the ones that are just wall hung. Those are actually really good for self-defense. You can hose down the area, even if you want to just obscure the area, if it's one of the foggers. Or if it's a stream or water base or the chemical base, you can hit them with it. And then if they still keep coming, you've got an impact weapon. And if you have a
heavy
mindset,
that's going to mass there.
It's going to be, yeah. They still weigh. They're still pretty chunky, even empty, and that'll probably slow somebody down significantly or stop them. And now there's no more problem. You just got a lot of cleanup.
Right. So fire extinguisher is one option. We talked about using, like basically fake firearms before.
Right.
About using like an airsoft and get a Laser Max sight on there, which is also sold by Crosman, by the way. I have one on my PM40, and those things they're very easy to use. They're pretty.
Yeah, they are. They can be intuitive. And you mentioned one thing just before we got out of there was pepper spray. A lot of people, for some reason, still think pepper spray is illegal in New York. I get it all the time. Anytime I mention a class, I'll get a hand that goes up. Dave, isn't pepper spray illegal? No, tear gas is. CS gas is. Pepper spray, it's essentially a green product. It's biodegradable. It's all natural. And we kind of have a saying, it's better to give it than receive it, obviously, because, I've been on the receiving end of it in training, and it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. In fact, I was just talking to somebody on the way out here who wants to do a pepper spray class with a group of his employees, and some of them were asking if they can be exposed to it. And absolutely. I've got EMS friends.
It won't kill anybody.
It won't kill anybody. It'll be uncomfortable and irritating for a day or two, but it's an experience that I suggest everybody try at least once. Because
not to receive, don't pepper spray yourself, folks.
Don't pepper spray yourself. Have a professional do it so that somebody's around that they know how to decontaminate you the fastest way possible, or else you're going to feel this for quite a few days.
Okay, so this stuff gets deployed now. Is it like in a little gun? How does that work?
Well, it depends. Kimber has a product where they call it a pepper gun, and it's actually more of a dry product, and it gets on the skin and reacts with the moisture in your skin. But some of the products that we're more familiar with, like the Sabre brand, which is, from what I found, the hottest on the market. It is very potent, and it is in a liquid form. It's got an aerosol propellant, but it's in a liquid form or gel form, and it's either a stream, it's a fogger, or a cone, or gel. The gel is interesting because it pretty much sticks to everything, and the more you rub it, the worse it gets, just like any other pepper spray. But you don't get a lot of overspray. Pepper spray is really good for a stopgap. It's good to slow things down or maybe stop it for a few seconds so you can have an opportunity to get away. I recommend it. Everybody that carries a firearm should have a less lethal solution, because I guarantee you're going to use, let's say you decide to use pepper spray. You're going to probably have a better chance of using pepper spray than your firearm in your average daily life for a long time.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You never hear that.
Most of your encounters are going to be where the use of pepper spray will probably be far more advantageous and allowable and legal than the use of a firearm would. Even just pointing a gun at a firearm to out-muster somebody who is trying to intimidate you. Again, there's a lot more legality issues with using a firearm than there are with pepper spray. Pepper spray is very low on the use of force continuum, where a firearm is right at the top end. Even in law enforcement, they use pepper spray very low in their encounter level.
All right. Speaking of law enforcement, what about tasers?
Tasers? Well, I know that they've been ruled as allowable and legal in New York State. I've had quite a few inquiries on them, and I'm working with a couple guys. In fact, I just saw Mike chime in on the pepper spray comment. We're working on a program now. We're going to do it. There's quite a bit of interest because it's new. It's been opened up on us. I'm kind of hesitant because, as New York will do at times, they will suddenly reverse decision and decide that something that it wasn't legal that became legal due to an exception made in a court decision or a loophole or other thing, suddenly they close that and they reverse it. So I want to make sure that this is going to stick before I really get the program going.
So the answer is not quite sure yet.
Not quite sure,
in the
but
taser
they're legal.
But legal now. So
they're legal now.
Are they pretty pricey and difficult to use?
They're very inexpensive. They are, for the civilian modes, they're mostly a contact weapon, so you've got to get within arm's reach of the person to use it. So that gives people pause and gives people concern because they have to get that close. A lot of people would rather have some distance when they have to defend themselves than have to get into where they can feel the body heat and smell the breath and whatever they had for lunch or breakfast that day.
And at that point, they can reach out and grab an article of your clothing, your jacket, your sleeve, whatever they can pull you into them. And now you're in the jackpot.
Yeah. What I plan on doing with the taser is combining quite a bit of combative and unarmed self-defense type skills, hand-to-hand skills, in order to augment what you would have with that taser or that stun gun.
And you also have training on that. And this is not, some intense kind of, Krav Maga or whatever. This is, just basic techniques that you use to stop an incident, and particularly aimed at women, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have a women's class called the Equalizer. And it does exactly what it says. It helps you equal the odds. And it's probably one of our most popular courses. We have one coming up on Sunday, and I think we've got only a couple spots left in it. So that shows you how popular it is. We'll max it out almost every time.
Every week, do you?
No, once a month.
Okay.
Once a month. Right. And it's basically, for lack of a better term, how to hand out a butt kicking to a bad guy who tries to hurt you or worse. And there are some proof tests. There's a mock assault stage in there where you will actually get to go as full force as you can against one of my instructors who's all padded up and is going to act the part of a bad guy.
So you're like the German Shepherd in the training range.
Exactly. Yeah, we're like the suit guy that gets bit. So we just get hit a lot. But although we get pounded pretty good, we usually have a pretty good headache at the end of the day. We've got some sore muscles. We can sit back at the end of the night and go, that was a good class. Because we just taught a bunch of women how to defend themselves.
Okay, so any case histories where some of your graduates have gotten into a situation and they were able to use the skills that they acquired at Rochester Personal Defense?
I've got a couple. I've gotten some homeowners that have woken up to that bump in the night, and they remembered all the stuff we talked about at home firearm security and how to secure the gun and how to move in their home and how to interdict and how to call 911 first. I've got one story that it was about 4 or 5 years ago. We had a girl come through. She was a sophomore in high school at the time. So she's obviously off in the college world now probably. And she was at a store, actually this happened at Grease Ridge Mall. And she was waiting for a ride to come pick her up. And she was standing in right by the carousel. She noticed, by paying attention, that some guy was kind of eyeballing her and watching her. And she said it was enough that she knew he was watching her.
Set off the creep alarm.
Oh, yeah, big time. And so she moved to the exit doors, and he moved to where she was standing. And then she moved to the outer doors, and he moved to the inner doors. So he was tracking her. He was following her. And right as she went outside, she figured, I have more room, because we talked about proximity and don't try to fight in a confined space. Get outside where you have room to fight.
Situational awareness,
exactly.
Folks.
She was spot on. It was perfect. And just as she was walking out, this guy tried to interdict her and try to grab her arm and pull her. And there was a van parked right around the little curb area. And her ride pulled up. She actually turned around, gave him, she said, probably the palm strike of all palm strikes, and hit him right in the jaw, and he dropped to the ground. She ran away and got in the car, and they called the police. So to me, that was a big win right there. She was excited. She was scared, but she was relieved that it worked.
Excellent.
So, big win on that one.
There you go. Okay, see, it can work for you folks. So in our remaining minute or so here, let's talk about Rochester Personal Defense classes you've got coming up. How to you have a website. I'm sure you got contact info you want to pass along to folks.
Oh, yeah. Come check out the new website. We just launched it a couple months ago. It is unbelievably better than what we had before. We had a great website. This one's like out of the world, but it's at safeinrochester.com, or you can just type in our business name, Rochester Personal Defense, and you can find it. Call me, 585-406-6758. What I want to do is I want to be your trainer. Let's get you trained up. Whatever you need, let's figure out where you need to go. If you have been thinking about your permit, you've been thinking about a firearm, you're just curious about them, or you just want to have answers from an expert who's not going to give you the political rhetoric, I'm your guy. I can take care of it.
All right.
How's that, Bob?
And that's for everybody. That's for ladies. That's for younger people, older people, homeowners, whatever. Don't be a victim. I mean, it's a state of mind.
I don't even care about your political or social affiliations. If you want to learn, I'll train you. That's all I care about.
Well, that's good to hear. Dave Jenkins, Rochester Personal Defense. Thanks for being on the program.
Thanks for having me, Bob. And Andrew, hope I didn't, make you too nervous. I didn't see any face palms come across, so I think I did okay.
Okay. Hey, we'll see you next time, Friday afternoon at 1, Radio Free New York. Who knows who will be on? I don't know. We'll find out together.